Hello everyone, this is Alan Whitford coming to you from RCEURO.com, and we're speaking again with Roisin from Taleo Business Edition. Hi Roisin, how are you doing?
Hi Alan, how are you? Good, thank you.
It's great to have you back in our thought leader conversations. It's been a while since we last had a bit of a recording, so why don't you tell our viewers who may not have met you before who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Roisin Corrigan. I'm one of the regional sales managers for Taleo Business Edition. And I look after Taleo Business Edition across Europe, Middle East and Africa. So any organisations who come to Taleo and are interested in one of the different products that we offer, then I would work with them and take them through the entire process of that product, right from initial contact right through to them potentially becoming a customer of Taleo itself. So I would be the main point of contact for any prospects interested in the Taleo product.
And this works across the Eurozone?
Yeah, right across all of Europe. I also look after the Middle East and up until recently looked after Africa as well. We've just had a new person come on board into the business and he's going to take over some of the European region and also Africa. Just because of the increase in business that we've had here, we just need that other person on board to kind of look after customers as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now you're based in Ireland, correct?
I am, Northern Ireland, correct.
Northern Ireland, yeah. But you get around. I think most of the time you spend your time on planes, don't you?
Yeah, but usually for holidays more so than work.
Right.
And when you invite me to come to conferences, Alan, then I get to go on a plane.
Well, and that's such a perfect lead-in because you are coming again to Social Recruiting Conference 2011 at the end of June in London. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier journey where you came for our first event in November and during the blizzard time.
I did indeed.
So hopefully we're not going to have blizzards in June. And we're looking forward to having you guys over. Now, are you going to be showing people the new products that Taleo has recently acquired, the Learn.com, which I think you've renamed as Taleo Learn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, delighted to be coming back to the conference. It was a really, really great event in November last year. Even though it was a little bit difficult to get there, it was, definitely a great event and, certainly looking forward to coming back. But yeah, absolutely, one of the products that we definitely look to show people is the new learning management system. So back in October of last year, Taleo acquired Learn.com, really great learning management system, and we're now integrating that, and it's, to now put Taleo in that position of being the only public vendor, which is offering best-in-class talent management systems, across the recruitment, the performance, and we do onboarding compensation. So it's really great to have, the learning management system now incorporated as part of that offering that we have for customers. Great for customers as well. It means, if they're looking for, a particular vendor for the entire talent management suite, they can now have one vendor that's going to offer them, all the products that they would need for that. So yeah, great. And really looking forward to be able to show people at the event, what it's like and what it can do for them.
Well, I think it really is that natural extension. I think it's easy for us to talk an awful lot about how social is useful in the recruiting side, but it doesn't stop when the person has been hired. There is the onboarding, and then there is how do we actually engage with people in the learning and training piece after they've actually become employees. And I think this online learning seems to have some real synergy with people who are used to using social tools.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we at Taleo here, we talk an awful lot with organisations about talent intelligence. So it's really giving organisations, the ability to look into their existing staff, understand, what skills those people have, what potential learning and development needs might be there, within them, especially in that SMB space, the small to medium business, star performers are really, really key to these organisations. And the learning management system really helps them, stay challenged and stay engaged with the business itself because they are continuously learning and getting opportunities. And the learning management system, exactly as you were saying there around the social side of it, it doesn't just have to be formal learning where you kind of, you create, deliver and give content out to people. There is a whole social aspect within the LMS itself, where they can collaborate with different people. They can actually have profiles on there. They can interact. They can have forums and different boards if they want to discuss different things. I think, certainly for those individuals who like the social media aspect, if they want to learn, through social media in that type of format, then they have the option to do that with the new Taleo Learn product also.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting challenge because learning management tools have been around for quite a long time, but there seems to have been, certainly in UK PLC, this great disinclination to use technology very effectively in the learning and training environment. And yet there are people just crying out to try and figure out what are the gaps in my knowledge, how can I progress, if I could actually get some training that suits how I like to engage, I think it really has a great opportunity.
Well, if you're working with your employees in a format in which they're comfortable with, they're going to be far more inclined, to be involved and to try and, use that training method, as opposed to, it's, not saying it's boring, but if there's other methods there which are more formal, which they don't enjoy as much, it might become more difficult to try and keep them engaged. Whereas with the social, method, it's much more fun. They can have videos, they can have games, they can have audio on there. So it's more interesting for the employee to go in there and to take that training, do maybe fun quizzes at the end of it. That's, a bit more interesting than sitting at the end of a formal classroom and just trying to, write up, on a piece of paper, here's what I thought of it and stuff, so definitely keeps the employees more engaged.
Well, I think you're right. I can go back many, many years ago. There was a bank that actually, that I knew in the U.S., they were trying to figure out how to train people to become traders. And, they had these like giant books that they had to read, and it could not have been more boring stuff. And one of the guys came up with a clever idea of turning it into a game. And used gaming technology, and all of a sudden they got people that were studying 12 and 14 hours a day. Their pass rates went through the roof, and they really got people engaged in the learning piece itself.
I have had the exact same conversation with an organisation in the UK over the past 2 months, where they're looking to deliver training out into the insurance sector, and they were saying the exact same thing. Where how do we do it in such a way that it's not boring? And they really, when they came to us, the initial discussion that we've been having with them is how can they deliver this content in such a way that it's going to land really well with those end users, so that they're interested. They're going to be much more involved in it. And it's like getting those people involved and getting them to take up the training, and exactly the same results will come out of it if they do that. If it's much more fun and interesting, of course people are going to want to do it than if it's boring and kind of not something that's interesting for them to do.
Well, that really kind of almost in a sense brings us back full circle to the whole conversation about how social is having an impact on recruitment today, isn't it? That we're finding it as an engagement set of tools. One of the disputes I have with people a lot is social isn't a sourcing tool per se. It's a set of communication tools, and we have to communicate with people in the way they want to communicate.
Yeah, especially, we talked about this the last time around recruitment. Graduates coming out of universities, you can call them Gen Y or whatever it is that you want to call them, but these candidates expect, whether once they become an employee in your organisation, they want you to communicate with them in a way that they're comfortable with and that they want to be communicating with.
Absolutely, and I think what's also interesting is, of course, you're now delivering a quite integrated package on a lot of different tools, and we're still seeing so many companies leaping ahead into doing different social elements, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or whatever it might be, but they don't have the technology infrastructure sitting back in the office to actually be able to capture the information, to have the communications tools to engage with those candidates and keep that whole candidate experience alive and well.
Well, the growth of any organisation is dependent on its people. Making sure that you have the right talent in the right place in your organisation, is going to be key for any organisation, of any size to succeed and be successful. And the number one thing you need to be able to do with that is to be able to see the information you need to see in those people, be able to see what their skill sets are, give them that, whether that be through performance reviews, goals, alignments, etc. And then once you've done all that, you can start to identify, okay, where are the missing gaps in the organisation? So you can start to plug those gaps. And again, you're just making sure that you have the right people with the right skills in the right roles, so that it's going to build your business and make it a success and probably even survive in some cases.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, and it's still, more years than I want to think about that I've been talking about using technology to help that whole process. And it's great to see that you guys are having more and more success with the current range of tools.
And if people, if you go onto the Taleo.com website, there's a whole section on there and learn. If people want to contact me, we have a ton of case studies that we've done with organisations, how they've kind of, they've reduced their training costs by such high percentages. They've been able to increase their turnover, and they're increasing their revenue by employee because they have the right people in the right positions with the right skills to do the jobs that they need to do. And, if anybody wants any information or specifics around that, we're more than happy to provide it.
Okay, so they can find you on Taleo.com, and how else can they find you?
People can find me on LinkedIn as well if they want to approach me directly, or if anybody wants to drop me an email. Email address is orcorrigan@taleo.com, and I'm quite happy for anybody to direct inquiries directly to myself if they wish to do so.
Okay, and of course they can always come down to Social Recruiting Conference in London on the 30th of June and meet with you face to face.
They'll now recognize me because they've seen me.
Exactly. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you again today, Roisin. I really appreciate it. Someday I'll learn how to pronounce your name correctly as well.
I get called all sorts.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to see you next week, I think, in London for lunch as well. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Have a great day, Roisin.
Okay, thank you.
Bye now.